All right. So, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth King. I'm the director of the Center for Russian, East European, and Eurasian Studies, and I'm excited to greet all of you who are here in person for this event, and also those of you who have joined via our webinar for the Kris Noon lecture, Ukrainian Women as Forced Migrants, Challenges and Pathways to Economic Independence. I will introduce Dr. Huliaieva in just a second, but I also want to take this opportunity to give a couple of announcements of some of our upcoming events. On Tuesday, have a slide for it. Great, there we go. On Tuesday, March 11th at 5:30 over in Stern Auditorium at the UMA, we'll be doing a film screening and discussion of Gulmira's fairy tales with artist Glukia, who will show the film, and then the artist Glukia will join Irina Aristacheva and myself for a discussion. And then we're also going to be having in our gallery next door a Glukia's exhibition. And for the Kris Noon lecture for March, she'll be joining us here in this room for an artist talk and workshop on the exhibition with a chance to then go and view it, Threading the Needle, Vestiges of Colonialism and Femininity. And that exhibit will be through the rest of March and April, so from March 12th to May 2nd. And then for our other March Kris Noon lecture, we'll be joined by Dr. Kevin Bartik, who's a professor of musicology at Michigan State University, for his talk on Prokofiev's Alexander Nevsky and its afterlives, which is in the same week or so of the UMS production of Alexander Nevsky. Prokofiev's Alexander Nevsky. So for those of you who, I think most of the people, at least in the room, I know your faces, so I know you're signed up for our Kris listserv, but for those of you on the webinar, if you aren't already and would like to join, you're welcome to put it in the chat, your email address, and we could sign you up for those as well. And for today's talk, now I want to get out of this. It's really hard to do without a keyboard. Let's see. Once again, there we go. Now we see the video. So Liudmyla Huliaieva, who's joining us via, I don't know, actually, are you back in Kyiv or are you in Poland? But joining us from somewhere. Sorry, didn't specify. She'll tell you in a second when she yeah. So
most of the time I'm in Ukraine, but now I am in Poland.
Okay, great. All right. So joining us from Poland, thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Huliaieva is an economist she's also an associate professor at the Academy of Labor, Social Relations and Tourism in Ukraine, and currently a fellow of the Global MIT At-Risk Fellows Program at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Dr. Huliaieva holds a PhD in economics from Kyiv National Economic University. Her research focuses on the economic resilience and financial independence of Ukrainian women forced migrants. She has led over 20 European Union-funded projects addressing migration, sustainable development, and economic empowerment. Her academic journey includes multiple fellowships. Some examples of that are from the Polish Institute of Advanced Studies, the Polish Academy of Sciences, and the Kościuszko Foundation. These experiences have enabled her to explore the socioeconomic adaptation of displaced women, offering valuable insights into migration policy and gender equity. Combining academic expertise with practical project management, Dr. Huliaieva actively contributes to international initiatives that empower women and other marginalized groups, positioning her as a key voice in discussions on sustainable development and social inclusion. So with that, we'll give you a warm Michigan welcome. It's actually very cold here. We have warm gold blue hearts. So we'd like to welcome you to this space to share your insights and your research with us. So hopefully we'll try on our end to make sure that the sound and video is going well, but I don't know if you have a view of the room, but there's a group of us here, and then there's also about 29 participants so far who have joined. We will, after the presentation, so Dr. Huliaieva, you'll talk for about 50 minutes, and then we'll open it for some Q&A. For those of you who are joining by webinar, you can put your questions into the chat, and we'll be able to then ask them, but we'll also take questions from those who are in the audience here. Sound like a good plan?
Okay,
Great.
it's amazing for me. Okay, let's me start, dear colleague and dear friends. Um, Good day for all. Hi for all. My name is Liudmyla Huliaieva. I'm from Ukraine, and it's honor for me to be with you today. I am Ukrainian woman who also has a personal experience how to be a forced migrant. At the same time, I'm a researcher and I have some research in this field. And at the same time, I am activist who has many realized projects for Ukrainian women and other type of people with in difficult situation. And today I want to share my experience and my result of research. And what about my speech? You can see on the slide the date. This day changed the lives of all Ukrainians forever. We know this date for all my life and for all life of Ukraine. But today my story is not about the brave and difficult fight of the Ukrainian people for freedom and survival against a powerful enemy, Russia. But my story is about Ukrainian women after February 24, 2022. By the way, in the Ukrainian language, Ukraine is also feminine, is also women. My story is about forced migrant women. You can see now very interesting illustration from Poland author. It is from Polish magazine of Prost, and it is amazing illustration what every Ukrainian woman feel when she became forced migrant. You know, if you plan your migration in other country, it is other situation because you can plan all your language skills, your plan for future to collect money for the first stage in your country. But we have situation when we have forced migration. My story about woman who waits for her loves and to return from war, a woman who hides her children in basements from Russian rackets now, a woman who spends sleepless night under air raid sirens and work hard during the day, a woman who, like the goddess Shiva, carries countless responsibilities, a woman who still finds time to volunteer and support other people at the same time, a woman who often loses everything, but a woman forces to leave her home to survive, becoming a forced migrant. Yet, despite it all, she still believes in her country and victory. My next idea and the first section of my speech is about what is Ukrainian forced migration and Poland's key role. You can see short information about data, and now we have the next information. More than 12 million Ukrainians have become forced migrant, including 5 million Ukrainians left Ukraine in the first months of the war in 2022. But now we can see that the number of Ukrainian forced migrants is rising every day. And today we have more than about 7 million people, Ukrainians, to abroad. They came, they came their country and are in foreign countries now. You can see on the slide the top countries hosting Ukrainian refugees. On the first months of the war, Poland was the country number one. But situation is changing every day, and you can see that Germany is the country now with the biggest number of Ukrainian migrants. The second one is Russian Federation, but it's a very difficult situation about people who are in this country. Poland, the third place. Now in 2025, also Czech Republic, United Kingdom, Spain, and Romania. These are countries with the biggest number of Ukrainian refugees. Why Poland is very important? And Poland is also a subject of my research. Ukrainian women, forced migrants in Ukraine, internally displaced people, and also Ukrainian women in Poland. Because in the first months of the war in 2022, Poland was a humanitarian hub for Ukrainians, and then many people from Poland go to other countries. And we can see that the most of these people were women with children. So my scientific interest was on women because it is the most of people who go to abroad with children. What about portrait of Ukrainian women who go to abroad and not only? I had research in 2022 and 2023, but now I also continue my research and my focus was on Ukrainian women, forced migrants in Poland, and internally displaced women in Ukraine. My research collected data in 2022, but it was period when the most women was in status of forced migration about 6 months and more. So my research it was in 2022 the collection of data, but at the same time it was a period when we can do some conclusion about first adaptation results, about main problems, and about some recommendation what to do the next in this situation. More than 1,000 respondents were in my research in Ukraine and in Poland. What we can see about portrait of respondent, it's our Ukrainian women. Ukrainian women are highly qualified because more than 80% of women have professional education, and more than 57% have higher education. And it is a big advantage on the labor market, but at the same time, sometimes it's a big disadvantages when we want to look for some job in new host country. Ukrainian forced migrant women, how they choose the place for movement. We can see from the result of research that in Ukraine, women decide about in one place they need to go. It was the place when they have some friends and relatives. It is the number one reason in choose the place for movement in Ukraine for women who are in Ukraine now. But if you can see about Poland information, you also can see that the most Ukrainian women in Poland decided to be in Poland because this country is located near Ukraine, because they have some friends and relatives in Poland. And the third very important reason is that Poland has taken an active pro-Ukrainian position, especially at the first months of the war. It was very important for us because after Poland, other countries also very quickly were opened for us as humanitarian hub. So Poland is chosen not because on financial condition or some support services, but because Poland is territorially close. There are friends and some relatives there in this country. What about the situation about sorry. Also, it's important to say for us that all Ukrainian women are many difficult situations, not only because it was the war, but also the main of first migrants from Ukraine, it was women with children, and also it was women who also need to support their old parents, for example, or some other people with disabilities, some relatives. And it's very important to understand for development the support system for these migrants, because I am an economist, and for me also important understand that every system for supporting migrants need to help these people not only to live good, but at the first time, a support system for migration and migration policy need to help people to go to the labor market, to get job, to earn money, to pay taxes, and to have some financial independence from the system of support and financial aids. And if you thinking about Ukrainian women, we need to understand this. When women have children, has children, so she need also special support to go to labor market and what to do with children in this situation. Portrait of displaced Ukrainian women in Poland. The most of women are urban resident with higher education, in active working age, 49 years, has one or more children, a left relative and close ones in Ukraine, close Poland as a host country because this country is near the Ukraine. Before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the many of these women have had very good or stable financial status. And also the woman was employed in the labor market in Ukraine. So you can sometimes see very strange situation when Ukrainian women with good clothes, good car, for example, are is now in Poland. But why? Why she need some support? Because these women had a good social status, sometimes good salary, good job, but the data of the start of the war decide that these women lost all of them good salary, good job, their home, their things, all their stable life. The war changed the economic and social life of Ukrainian forced migrants women, but how? This is experience of Ukraine and Poland. You can see on the slide the information from my research survey, and I included in this survey a few questions about financial status. For example, how did your family income change from the beginning of the war? Or by how much percent did your family income decrease during this period? And you can see that the war led to a sharp decline in family incomes, with many losing most or all of their earnings. So the first stage of the 2022, it was dramatic situation when many Ukrainian family and many women forced migrants lost all their income. We have very interesting situation in Ukraine about financial role women in family. And you can see also the information about the next question. Did your role in the formation of family budget change during the war? And you can see the results that the negative impact was stronger in Ukraine, but in Ukraine and in Poland, women noted that their role in the formation of the budget has decreased. Why it's important? Because in Ukraine we have very traditional financial model of shared family budget. But in this situation, women and, for example, husband and wife, all partners can earn money, and women also traditionally make a significant contribution to the shared family budget, actively participating in both earning and financial decision making. will still bear the majority of household responsibilities. So Ukrainian women are very active, and for them it's very important to earn money, to get some money in budget, and also give something for this budget. You can also see about financial situation in family and role of Ukrainian women, forced migrants, in their financial decision in family about spending the budget. You can see very interesting situations that even during the war, Ukrainian women remain key decision makers in family finance, with an even higher role in Poland. This is driven not only by tradition, but also by their new roles as primary breadwinners and organizers of life in displacement. So when these women became first migrants, they were need to start new life, to organize their placements in the new country and earn money. So they were and are now the main person who make decision about finance in the family and in the life. Also, we can see very interesting situation when the war started in 2022. We understand that the period of the war in Ukraine started earlier in 2014, but the aggressive form it was in 2022. So you can see that we have different situation in finance situation between Ukrainian women forced migrants in Ukraine and between Ukrainian women in Poland. My research shows that Ukrainian forced migrants were in more difficult situation. You can see, for example, that about 40% of women used financial and material aid from various sources, and only about 30% to have work job in this period in 2022. But you can see that women who went to Poland and start new life in this country, they get better results. About 40% of these women work in Poland on the date of survey, and also you can see that only about 18% of these women to get some financial and material aid. So maybe it was very strange but difficult situation when women went to new country and they didn't have any choice. They need to build new financial status to get job in new country. Also, I need maybe explain that Poland on the first months of the war in 2022 and some months of 2023 proposed a special program for Ukrainians when Ukrainian people can to have free flat or houses for some time. It was a special support program when owner of houses or flat can get a special money from Polish government for this, some compensation. But it was a small part of Ukrainian women and situation. So the most of women need to pay for their flat, for their products, for all. So it was a main factor why Ukrainian women very quickly to go to the labor market and get some jobs and started earn money. How about access, how about financial situation in Ukraine and in Poland? And you can see that Ukrainian forced migrants had also better situation in Poland. It can be strange from one side, but at the same time, you can see results. Then the financial situation of women and their families in Poland is much better than in Ukraine, because the bigger part of respondents of survey showed that they had enough money for life in new countries, in new conditions. But at the same time, in Ukraine, we had a bigger part of women with very low financial situation when they need money for all and not enough money for life and even for maybe necessary products. For example, 32% of Ukrainian women noted that there is not enough money even for the necessary products. But at the same in Poland, it was only 19% of such situation from respondents. We can summarize situation on the labor market for women in 2022. Fiasco on the labor market because in Ukraine economics didn't work, but at the same time in Poland for many Ukrainians it was also big problem how to get job in new country. Rapid reduction in income, a woman is forced to look for sources of income for the family, financial support, changing the gender role of women. In many situations, women became a main person who has obligation for all in family. About money, about products, about children, about new houses. So it's a very big stress and many obligations for women. The rapid deduction of women's social status. Yesterday, some women was very good women with enough money, with good job, with good house. But today you have not anything. Also, I need to show you that for Ukrainians, it's very important its own flat or house. For example, in US, I know that it's normal to change some place every year, for example, and many times for your life. But for Ukrainians, it is very difficult. We like to be in one place long time, and for us, the main dream in life it's to have its own, maybe small, but own house or flat. And for many people, it was drama because they collect money many years to buy or build some house or flat. And after occupying the big part of our territory, the many people were without home and flats. So all results of their life and nothing in one time. Also, they have a negative social psychological impact of new economic problem for women. It was very difficult, and this process lasts right now. Ukrainian forced migrant women in Poland labor market. It's also interesting situation because you can see now on this slide the top of challenges in the Polish labor market for Ukrainian women. And you can see that the first one, I don't know, the Polish language is a big problem. You can see why Polish language is very similar to Ukrainian language, but not really. It's simple, but it's not the same. So on the first stage of the war, we had many different courses, free courses for Ukrainians in Poland, but now we have not them. So it's big problem for many how to get good job without Polish language. It was forced migration, so people came to the country without any understanding what is Polish language. Number one, inability to work in my profession. So for many women, it was a situation when we need to choose other profession to get new skills and other. Number three, the many women were and are now in Poland with children. So the work schedule offered to me doesn't meet my needs as a mother. It was number three reason and problem on Polish labor market for Ukrainian women in Poland. Number four, loss of the career I have been developing for a long time. And number five, the need to acquire new skills or professions. So you can see these main challenges. About Polish courses, I only noted this. You can see some new data from Poland. Then people, refugees who know Polish had a better results on the labor market. It allows you to find a job according to your skills and qualification. The employment rate among refugees who spoke Polish was 82%. So it's very good situation if you know language. I also want to say maybe a few words about very interesting experiment in Poland. It was did by the Polish Economic Institute. It was some interesting experiment when it was two groups of Ukrainian and Polish women. One group was non-specialist position and other specialist position. This experiment was oriented on access employer responses to CVs from Polish and Ukrainian female applicants. It was in 2022. And the main conclusion of this experiment was in the next, that on the non-specialist position, companies better invite to the job Polish women. But on the specialist position with high skilled, so the Ukrainian chance to get a job is the same that in Polish women, that for Polish women. So the main conclusion of this experiment is that Ukrainian women who need to see more careful about situation when they can go to specialist position, not only for low skilled position, because on the high quality specialist position they have more chance to get job. Very interesting results, I think. And also we have some new data from National Bank on Poland in 2024. It's systematic reporting from National Bank. You can see that women take up 70% of Ukrainian migrants in Poland now, right now, and with significant proportion being young and well-educated. So it's a good position for labor market and good resource for economy. Many of them work in low-skilled jobs, you can see. And the employment rate among Ukrainian migrants is high. It's about 78%. So it's very high situation, very high rate in Poland. Women earn 25% less than men on average. This is gender gap is the same also in labor market of Poland during the Polish women and men. So we have this situation when Ukrainian women can get smaller salaries than men of the same position. But it's a very typical situation for many countries. And also we have we get from National Bank some conclusion about language, that also the research of National Bank showed that refugees with good Polish proficiency get better chance of the labor market. But what we can need for the future in the labor market? We can also interesting situation on the labor market, especially on the first masses of the war in Ukraine, that Ukrainian men couldn't go to the Poland. It was big tradition when of the men's work on the men's position. Many Ukrainian men every year go to Poland to work. But after the war, the first Ukrainian men can't go to abroad. We have some excluding, but the most of men can't go to abroad. So Polish company needed men for men's work, traditional. But at the same time, the Poland had situation when many women went to the country. And it was some period of disconnection, understanding what to do with this, because we have many women, but labor market and companies wanted men for their position. And we have very interesting changing on the labor market when companies started in Poland started changing their workplace, their position, and to create conditions that men can work on some position traditionally for men. For example, we can good examples in logistic industry. The logistic industry offers job opportunities for Ukrainian women as order pickers in warehouses. Some warehouses reduce the weight of packages to a comfortable level for women. The peak season in logistic and retail also leads to an increased demand for forklift operator, and some companies started teach women how to be these operators. So they opened a special school for Ukrainian women. You also can see the same situation in food industry and in other field, because Polish labor market has also big gap, big demand on labor. So they try to do all that Ukrainian women work on this position. In my survey also was interesting question about the next. What criteria are most important for you, for women, to choose a job now? And you can see that salary is the most important factor for women, while work schedule, consideration of their status as a mother, and remote work option are also important factors in job selection. Salary, why? Because every woman need to pay for the rent, to pay for the goods, for everyday situation, and salary is number one. But for me, as economist, also maybe it's important understand the risk of this situation. You can see that, for example, security, it's only number 8 in this top of criteria. Or for example, prestige, social status is number 9, but security for me it's very important, because some Ukrainian women can also get some risk violence and other difficult situation. So money is the first number to live in new country. Labor market in Ukraine, because sometimes now we can hear recommendations that please go to Ukraine, you can work, no problem. But what we can see in Ukraine labor market, because I also help in Ukraine in some social project for Ukrainian women, internally displaced person. And I also have some project when we help these women to get new job, maybe to get new skills and other. And we can see the next situation in Ukraine labor market. By 2050, Ukraine's population could drop to 25 million, but it was 52 million in 1991. So Ukraine has been experiencing a significant depletion of its human capital. At the same time, we have a big problem with ongoing war, large-scale internal and external migration, mobilization of working-age men into the armed forces, and deepened sectoral, professional, and regional imbalance are creating challenges. What main challenges? A sharp decline in the working-age population. At the same time, we have very strange but really difficult situation. Labor shortage amid high unemployment and low economic activity among the working age population. So company want to get workers, but at the same time, condition of this proposition are not good, and some people can't work because the condition are not goods. So we have big demand for labor from employers, and this demand has increased. You can see on on the slide that 74% of employers in Ukraine reported now that they have a significant shortage of workers. The Ministry of Economy Ukraine noted that Ukraine will need to bring an additional 4.5 million workers to the labor market over the next decade. So difficult situation you can see. But at the same time, when we have gap and labor market need workers, we have good and better situation for women who are internally displaced person and other groups of people with difficult situation. For example, people with disabilities, a young person who is looking now the first place for work, or for veterans, combats, and other, because when on the market we have a big gap and demand for labor, so we have better condition for our workers. And you can see, for example, that we have due to increased competition for workers, both nominal and real wages have risen in 2023 and 2024. A shift in gender and age structure in the labor market and the need to reskilling. For example, when people, a few years ago, when you are women, it's a big problem. It's difficult to get new job because, for example, maybe tomorrow you will have children and the company don't want to get you for job, for some position. But now situation in opposite, because women now it's a very stable resource for companies, because for example men can every day to go to the war, but at the same time women can be stable because she is not going to the war and can work in the company in stable way. So we have now new tendency on the labor market. At the same time, we have problem with mental health because the war is consistent now. So we have 10 million Ukrainians with risk of mental disorders. It's critical situation, and we understand that this process is lasting now because we have the war every day. And about challenges, what's the next? Staying, returning, or building a new futures. And you can see in my research was some interesting part when I proposed to the woman um, uh, to give for me some their understanding about their ability to achieve the goals in the future, develop a career, have a stable income, become financially independent, achieve success, and start a business. And I saw that women who are in Poland then they are more positive understanding of the future, because you can see that the most of women in Poland they gave more optimistic understanding of the future than in Ukraine. But the big difference, no, we have the big difference. We have not big difference in results. Every woman in Poland and Ukraine shows that they don't understand what to do in the future, and their hope of the best result is very low. So it was five marks, and one is no possibility, unrealistic to achieve some goal. And you can see mark about two. It's very low meaning of this criteria. How about business? Ukrainian women show a very high interest in start own business, and in Ukraine and in Poland. We have now new statistic in Ukraine when many new small businesses are opened by women. The most them of opened by men. And let me show a short case about my familiar Nia Nickel. It is woman who is now in Poland. Nia is the mother of a charming girl named Eva, who requires special support due to epilepsy, but at the same time, Nia is a businesswoman who started its own business in Poland. So it's a good example how to start new business if you are forced migrant in your country. And about returning, is it safe to return to Ukraine? No. You can see some information about 2024, but I can show for you different drama situation for every day, because every day we has bomb attacks and you don't know um, about your future. So now you are, but maybe tomorrow you will have that. So it's drama situation. We have no safe place, secure location in Ukraine. Migrants on the first stage of the war showed that they wanted to go to Ukraine, but now we understand the time is going, and women have a good job, have some new schools for children, and when they will decide about come back to Ukraine, they need understand that these women will have some house, some job in Ukraine. So we need to help them in the process come back to Ukraine with job and with some maybe other condition for life. But I think that we need to be carefully in this situation, because we can invite people in Ukraine come back only when we can propose for them something, because it can be also new humanitarian drama when people come back to Ukraine but without any condition for life. So this is situation dramatic. Now, what's the next in the Poland? In the Poland, we have a different tendency now, and one of them is that in the next, the many Ukrainians went to other countries after Poland Because, for example, in Poland, they can't pay for flat to get good job, but, for example, Germany or Ireland or other European countries proposed very good financial support and some services in language learning process, for example, in job seek, for example, in some services for children, for example, kindergarten, school access, and other. And we have a stable flow of people from Poland to Germany. But it is a normal process when people go better play for their life if they can't to get work or job. And for many Ukrainian women, it's big problem what to do with children because uh, in many Polish companies, working schedule it is very difficult. For example, 12 hours for day with 1 free day for week. So it's very difficult to go to the work they can start at 5 o'clock, for example, in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, but kindergarten are closed at the same time. It's a difficult situation. Ukrainian women help each other, created some kindergarten at the flat, for example, at home. They decided this problem, but we need to do support system for migration in Poland maybe more inclusive, because sometimes there are some ads and some people get these ads, but we need to do this maybe more effective because sometimes people who really don't need financial support but get money at the same time, real people who are from for example, Donetsk Oblast, some occupied territory, can't to get some financial support. So we need to do system maybe more effective and more addressing in the support. And instead of my conclusion about my research and my activities, Ukrainian women forced migrants face uncertainty about their future. They endure grief and loss, yet they ask earlier love their country, believe in tomorrow, and refuse to give up. Like Ukrainian stork you can see on the picture, it is bird. They dream of coming back home. In the meantime, even in these difficult conditions, they strive to learn, gain new profession, build careers, and start their own businesses while adapting to the labor market and host communities. The stork is a traditional symbol of Ukraine, a bird that always returns home. And I won't finish my speech by a short video. It is song by the Ukrainian band Persha Stolitsa about this bird and about Ukraine, a symbol of country fighting against evil in this war. And this symbol is this bird, the stork. I hope that you can hear now.
Probably. It was?
It was grayed out, but the tech had fixed that earlier.
Yeah.
He had selected it. And now it's gone again. Maybe we can share it afterwards, like, and learn about-
Thanks for your time, because time is the most important resource, because we cannot use it the second time. Time is our main resource. Thank you for our meeting. Okay, I'm ready to answer for your question if you have it.
Do you mind unsharing your screen and then we will see you here? And
Okay.
see if people have any questions in the audience, and I'll read some questions from our Q&A. Does that sound like a good plan?
Can you hear me here? Hi.
No, here, maybe you should take this.
Or I can also come closer.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
If you look in the camera.
Okay, perfect. Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. So I have two questions, and I wanted to start one from the U.S. policies and the recent pausing of the grants. And I was wondering whether it has affected the women in Ukraine, the refugees in Ukraine, but also outside of Ukraine, any of the aids that is coming from the U.S., if you have any information on that. And then the second question, I was wondering whether you know anything about the changing stereotypes and narrative creations around the refugees, Ukrainians in Europe, Poland, but elsewhere as well, whether anything has changed, because I do remember the enthusiasm of the first months, of course, the years, and it always happens, right, with the refugees, and then it slowly changed. At least in the Karabakh context, I remember in Armenia. So I was wondering if you have any information on that about Ukrainians as well. Thank you.
Could you hear both of these questions?
Okay, yes, I understand. Thanks for this, and I hear good. The first one, it can be about ad of United States. So we had a very big discussion in Ukraine about USAID ID and about the projects of this organization in Ukraine and in other country. And we need also understand about many Russian propaganda and some fakes, because the active part of our country understands that the big quality of big number of very effective projects were realized with support, financial support of US and the organization of with US support. And I personally were in many projects with USAID support, and it was a very interesting project. And in medicine, for example, and when we help people who are without a home, without some very necessary goods in their life. So my position that we need to maybe effective audit, so checking of this program, but we have many good results for Ukraine, and I think that the same in other country. And my position that we can see and we need to evaluate effectiveness of every project, but not in general. The all is not good. We need to be careful with this. So the most part of Ukraine only can say thanks for US and for your country and for people for help. Now it's difficult because the decision about finishing of the program at it was big surprise, and if you realize some project, you know that it's a big problem, big risks when you are in the middle of the project and when you have stop of money. But now we have maybe big activities and NGO sectors and in our government to look for different alternative resources for support this project, because it was very big list of good project for other country. And about the second question about support of Ukrainians and maybe situation in the Poland, their understanding about they need or don't need Ukrainian people in their country. I know many companies, many NGOs, many friends I have in Poland, and we have many good. We have good, effective some communication without any problem. My son, for example, now he's students of Polish university. He has no any problems with communication with Polish people. But at the same time, we understand that in the Poland and in the any country in the world now, we have many Ukrainians who need support. For example, people with disability, women with children, and I understand that it's normal situation when country and people also have some maybe not negative situation, but maybe um, mm, some limitations, some propositions that please, migrants, go to the job, please work and pay taxes. But also we need be carefully because sometimes it's also Russian propaganda. For example, maybe you know some scandals about the Polish farmers. But I am, for example, I was in Poland when it was some big scandal when Polish farmers don't do all that Ukrainian cars can't go to abroad from Ukraine to Poland, and it was maybe from other country it was very big problem, big discussion, big scandal. But at the same time I was in Poland in that time, and I discussed with many Polish people, and they don't support this policy and don't support this behavior of some small part of people. So every country when migrants are they maybe they need to create some rules, some programs, and every migrants need to live according to the law as the rule of the country. But at the same time, we have many Russian propagandas about scandals, about problems. But really, sometimes it's very it's another situation in really time, in really situation. Okay.
Okay, I wanted to ask one of the questions from the chat.
Yeah.
Some of parts you've addressed, but Arthur Ngozi was a doctoral student here at Michigan, thanked you for your insightful presentation, but also had the question of in which sectors are the low-skilled jobs that Ukrainian migrant women in Poland work? And then since you've answered some of the first part of the question, I would just wonder what you were just talking about with the relation toward maybe these kind of changing relations, or as you've mentioned, this Russian propaganda. Has it affected the livelihood of Ukrainian migrant women in Poland since then? Is it having any effect on the labor market?
In Poland, traditionally Ukrainians work in agriculture sector, in sales, in shops, supermarkets, for example. Also, now Ukrainian women started work on the man position. It's sometimes can be. I need to check the word. Sorry, maybe. In construction, it's a new tendency because in some big production, for example, for factories, it's traditionally a place for Ukrainian migrants, but now we also have new tendency when the Ukrainian women who who has good Polish skills and higher education, they go to the office on different positions, and project management and sales manager and marketing field and other. Also, we have many researchers and teachers in Poland. It's also a big part of Ukrainian women are on this position.
I think we have another question from someone in the room.
Yeah, thanks.
Where is it that I'm supposed to be?
So if you look at the camera.
Oh, at the camera. Okay.
Oh.
I am Professor Sylvia Pedraza from Michigan, the professor of sociology and American culture. And I have done some research on women immigrants. And I have a recent article called Transnationalism and Gender, Immigration, Race, Economic, Social, and Political Challenges. And I would like to send it to you if you send me your email.
Okay, I'm good to see you. Thanks for this, for your proposition. And also maybe I can to show for all my last slides, if you can help me with this. I also can send my contacts to the organizers of this event, and also let me now show my last slides with my contacts. Maybe it's also will be interesting for all for our communication, because now I have very big activities in Ukraine. I have contacts with many Ukrainian NGOs, because I am also expert in project management and the development of social project for grants also. And we work with many NGOs in the field of social project and support Ukrainians in different fields, educational, for example, project, and it's a different project. At the same time, I have now big activities in Poland. I am in Poland now because we have also many Ukrainian organization, and we are together working in the field of support Ukrainian women in Warsaw, in Krakow, in a few small towns in the Poland. At the same time, I am university teacher, and I have a big communication, a big network with Ukrainian universities, big and small. So if you also want to create some new connection with Ukrainian researcher, please write me. You can also use LinkedIn or my emails. I have many emails, but now I show you my personal, because it's my email for my whole life. Please use it. But okay,
Great.
thanks.
Thank you.
For
Maybe have one more question. Do you have time for one more question? So one of the students, I think, aligned with what you were just asking, but was wondering, Jenny Draker, our MA students, is asking, within this context, are there also need for, maybe there's even existing like jobs for foreign translators or interpreters for Ukrainian Polish? Like, is that something that sector has grown, or is there a need for that?
On the first months of the war, it was good situation, because every government organization or local organization, local authority, they all had some volunteer or personnel with good understanding Polish and Ukrainian. But now we have opposite situation, because the main flow of migrants finished now. So we have no really, in the most situation, possibility to propose for Ukrainian women translation from one language to other. And we have very interesting situation, because in the many situation, Ukrainians can understand the big part of Polish text, Polish language, but at the same time, for Polish people, it's more difficult to understand us. the same languages, but understanding is not the same. And it's also very interesting because sometimes you think I understand all these languages are the same, but no, sometimes the meaning of the word are opposite. So okay, no problem, but really it's a bit confused, can be.
Great. All right. Well, so if we didn't have a chance to answer all the questions maybe, but you now have Dr. Huliaieva's contact information so people can reach out to you with additional questions. So we'll go ahead and wrap up, and thank you very much for spending some time with us and sharing your research, your impressions, and your experiences as well. So thank you very much, Dr. Huliaieva.
And thank you, all Americans, for your help and support. It's important for us. Thank you for this. Okay, bye. See you. Please write me if you want.
Okay, thank
I
you.
will be glad.